we're going to do some sleepy stuff, which will be deeply relaxing. And so do take care of yourselves as you do it. So, you know, stop the car, stop mowing the lawn, put down the carving knives, whatever you're doing. So you can just focus. Make sure you're not going to be disturbed. You can just focus on this. And the very first thing I'm going to get you to do is I'd like you to just imagine that each of the things that's been bothering you, I'd like you to imagine a tiny little elephant, very small elephant with wings. And this elephant appears, and you take this thing that's bothering you and you put it on a post-it note. Everyone knows what post-it notes are, so I don't need to show you one. And you just pop it on the bottom of the elephant so you can see the words. And this tiny elephant lifts his little trunk, starts to flap its wings, and as it does, you see it gently floating into the distance. Just watch it go farther and further and further away until it's disappeared completely. And then when you've done that, imagine another elephant appears. Well, whatever the next thing is, you just put that on a post-it note, attach that to the elephant, and see it just taking it away further and further and further away. Just do that now. Just watch it disappearing, seeing it gently flap its wings as it disappears further and further and further away. And then see a third elephant appear, and again, just gently put a third post-it note, write down whatever it is, and let that just go too. And just keep on seeing those elephants just carrying away. And as you do, I'm just going to put some music on. Some of you will recognize this music from last time. It's the music that's some stuff that I wrote, and it's specifically designed to sound like a heartbeat. You can hear the actual drum is like a specific heartbeat, but it's slightly slower so that it will help your body and your brain to just slow down. So let me just set that up. As you see the elephant floating, and for those of you who didn't hear anything, hopefully you just imagined an elephant floating gently and calmly away from you. And see that elephant disappearing too, in exactly the same way. Further away, just disappearing. All the way to the horizon. And then you can have another elephant, whatever it says on that. Just have that just disappearing too. Further and further. Just feeling what it feels like to let that go now. And when you have more time, you can spend even longer releasing every single one of those elephants. But now I'd like you to just take a few moments to think about somebody who for you would be someone you consider to be wise, maybe someone you bumped into on your path or your journey, Maybe someone you've read about in a book, seen on a film, heard about in some way. But imagine that person was right here now with you, just beside you. And you tell them about your elephants and all the post-it notes. Just turn to them, just feel their presence and notice what they say, how they look, how it feels to be reminded within that stillness and quiet that they bring. And how that allows your body and mind to settle. Each breath that you take just allowing you to relax a bit more. And then I'd like you to take a few moments to practice a technique that was developed by a very, very famous hypnotherapist, Milton Erickson. It was developed by his wife, a lady called Betty Erickson. And this is an adaptation of this particular technique of self-hypnosis or relaxation. Very, very powerful way of helping you to slow down. As you listen to me, you may be aware not only of the words I'm saying, but also how the speed at which I'm talking has slowed and calmed. And generally, by encouraging a slower voice in your inner voice, will allow you to just take everything down to that place where sleep becomes much, much more possible, easy and lightly. So the instructions for the Betty Erickson self-hypnosis are best remembered as 3, 2 and 1. All I'd like you to do to begin with is just to think about a time when you were relaxed. And as you do, just notice how your body feels right now. Move around, shake your shoulders, just notice your number on a scale of 0 to 10, where 10 is very, very deeply relaxed and 0 is not deeply relaxed. And just give yourself a score. It doesn't really matter what it is, just notice what it is. And then what I'd like you to do is think about 3 things that you can see in the room right now. Now, if you're listening to this and you have your eyes closed, that's fine. You can think about 3 things that must be in the room. If you can see the room, that's fine too. You can just look around. Maybe notice the screen. Beautiful waterfall behind me. Maybe the ceiling. What's outside? Floor that you're on. You choose. Just 3 things you can see. And then to focus on 3 things you can hear. So that might be the sound of my voice, maybe the sound of the music, maybe the sound of your breathing. And then, having become aware of these things, I'd like to then focus on 3 sensations, 3 feelings that you're currently aware of. So that might be how your clothes feel, where they touch your skin. Maybe if you're sitting down, your body feels like it touches the surfaces. Or maybe how the back of your knee feels. In fact, it's particularly good to focus on things you're usually not that aware of. And by doing this, your body naturally just becomes calmer as it focuses slowly on these very specific things. 3 things you can see, hear and feel. And then you move on to focusing on 3 things. 2 things that you can see, but they need to be different from the ones you've already chosen. So 2 things, other things you could see. So it might be the things in front of you, maybe the things to your left. 2 other sounds. You can't use my voice or the music because you've already had those. It's interesting to notice how few sounds there are. Very often people can only hear 3 or 4 sounds, even in busy London streets. If that's the case, then just focus on a sound you love to hear, so maybe the sound of that waterfall or the rain on a roof. And then focus on 2 feelings or sensations you have right now. 2 sensations. Again, making sure that they're usually ones I'm not so familiar with. Maybe the feeling in between my 3rd and 4th finger, where they rub together. Feeling at the back of my neck where my t-shirt touches my skin. So things you're less usually aware of. And then having done that, then focus just on 1 thing. 1 thing you could see, 1 thing you could hear, and 1 thing you can feel. And when you've done that, following along with me, just notice again, what's your score now? How much more calm and relaxed do you feel just by going through that process? And then if you just take a few moments to rescore yourself, and just, if you can find the moment to just put that in the comments, what your score was before, what your score is afterwards. You should find by doing that, your body's become more calm, more relaxed, more still, to a degree, depending on how used you are to relaxing, because interestingly, being relaxed is just a skill, unlike any skill. The more you do it, the better you become at it. So just use the comments to write down the number that you were before and a number afterwards. And when you've done that, then allow yourself to check in with yourself. Would it be okay to become even more relaxed? Now, for most people, the answer would be yeah, it would be fine. But for some people, they may find a bit of them going, oh, I'm not sure about that. Because there's another reason why people can't sleep sometimes. And that's because they've trained themselves, through no fault of their own, but through experience, to be on alert, like a meerkat on the prairie or savannah, always checking, is everything okay? Where's the trouble coming from? If that's you, you'll need to do a bit more work, probably with a professional, to help you to learn how to really deeply switch that off. But for most people, when they check inside, the answer is a clear yeah. Yep, it would be great for me to relax more. Some people may notice that one part of their body, like Claire's noticed, is doing very well at relaxing. Another part seems to be doing something else. If that's the case, then you can turn to that part that's still being busy, check in with it and say, would it be okay for you to join in and become relaxed too? And just check the answer is yes. If it is, then you can ask it to really pay attention. As you ask yourself, if I'm an 8 or a 7 or a 9, where for me would be an even more deeply relaxing time? Where would I need to go, either back in time or forwards in time to somewhere I haven't been yet, that would just naturally allow me to increase and deepen these powerful sensations? Because remember, it's just a skill that comes through practice, that's all. And as my friends know, practice makes for permanence. So, allow yourself to just float the sound of my voice, calmer, trusting and knowing that it's okay. It's okay to relax. Just a bit more. Just a bit deeper. And some of you who've been on the call since the beginning may be surprised to know nearly 40 minutes have passed since we started. Because time is a very interesting thing, isn't it? People are asking me about how long is this going to last for, this social isolation? And yet, time is very stretchable in both directions. Erickson used to talk about this a lot. So, when you've only got a few minutes before you have to leave, it's not even enough time to boil a kettle and make a cup of tea. A few minutes. And yet, when you're waiting in the rain for a bus, a few minutes can feel like a lifetime. So, we seem to have this ability to shift, stretch, contract our relationship to time. I wonder how that might be useful for you at this point in your life. And how, when you're drifting off to sleep, you're able to be at peace with wherever you are in that process. Because it is a process. Going from one state into another is a process. And some of you who were on the call last week on the seminar may remember that I began to not tell you a story about being a raindrop. And I'm going to continue that story today. I may or may not complete it. You can be curious about that. You may remember I started by saying, imagine what it's like to be a raindrop, drifting down through the leaves of a deep green forest, and how, as the raindrop drifts, sometimes it falls in front of the leaf, behind the leaf, or rolls to the end of the leaf, clinging on for a while before inevitably letting go, drifting down, because that's what gravity does. And as it drops gently down, reaches the forest floor, and there, as you and I look at it, it looks like that floor is impenetrable. Nothing could get through that. But the raindrop, it doesn't know. And so it just drifts through, deep, deep into the earth. And there it meets other raindrops. And together they become something bigger, than the sum of their parts, forming a stream that runs gently and vibrantly up through the soil and into the sunlight. And the spring and the stream leave the forest. Sometimes that stream joins other streams to become a river, sometimes running fast across rapids, and other times slowly meandering, stilly, softly. Sometimes flowing into a deep, deep lake, sleepily just pausing silently in the quiet. Before once again moving on, cascading through the sunshine, flowing through the meadows, through the villages, towns and cities, but always on towards the sea. And eventually the raindrop in the river meets the sea, and there slowly mingles and merges. With the salt water, and it becomes part of the ocean. And it doesn't know how it does it as it makes that extraordinary transformation. It just does. And it's carried on the ocean's currents around the world. Sometimes warm, sometimes cool, sometimes so warm that the sun causes the water at the surface to rise up as a fine mist. And the mist goes higher and higher, and forms clouds that scurry across the surface of the planet, sometimes letting their rain fall onto the dry desert where there seems to be nothing, and suddenly the rain produces amazing flowers, colours. Sometimes it falls in the sea. Sometimes the raindrop falls down between the leaves of a deep green forest. Drifting sometimes in front of the leaf, behind the leaf, or sometimes on the surface of the leaf before rolling to the edge and clinging on before inevitably letting go and drifting downwards, all the way to the surface forest floor, which to you and I it looks impenetrable, but the raindrop doesn't know that, and it just soaks through, drifts deeply downwards where it meets other raindrops, forms a spring, stream and a river that runs sometimes rapidly, sometimes it meanders slowly, sometimes it pauses in a lake, but always towards the sea. And so as you learn what you need to learn, about how to practice and learn and train your brain to do one of those most natural of things, like breathing, digesting, sleeping, to relearn, to re-engage, using the tools and ideas we talked about. Remember, exercise, creating some time, catching yourself, sending your elephants off, practicing 3, 2, 1, and using any other tools that you found useful. There was a question earlier from, who was it? Long way back. There we go. From Lisa. saying, do we have any sleep aids available for downloads? Yeah, if you go to philparker.org, if you look at the store section, there's loads of things on de-stressing, learning to sleep that you can listen to. So as you bring yourself comfortably back, knowing that if you can achieve this state of relaxation and calmness, 6 o'clock, you can achieve it anytime, as long as you practice. Because remember, practice makes permanent. Bringing yourself back with whatever you've learned from today. I'd like you to thank you for being here. I'd like you to thank yourselves for taking the time to come here today, to focus on yourself and your health. It's not often we make the time, but it is important. So thank yourself for doing that. And then, if you have any friends on the chat, please say hi to them, thank them for being here, or if you've met people that you didn't know you had something in common with, then send them a message, because we're all here together. We've all come here for a particular reason, and at this moment, what the world does need is people recognizing, as Jeffrey Sachs says, less of us and them and more of we, how we are all together. If you'd like to know more about what we do, you may know today we've launched something really exciting, which is our online life skills course, something we normally train live. We've been doing it for decades. We've got an online version for those of you who can't make it because of coronavirus, specifically now, and also people in different countries of the world who want to learn how to apply some of these skills for themselves or to become a practitioner. Then you can take that course now, and we've made the very first hour of it completely free, so I'll put a link to that. If you just go to Facebook.com/groups/free NLP, you'll get straight to that. If you want to know more about that, then do email me or leave a comment. If you've managed to get yourself feeling nice and sleepy like Claire, listening to me, remember, although I helped, you're the one that did it. And if you can do it now, you can do it anytime. We'll be running another one of these on Tuesday next week. Seems to be the time that people like it, 6 o'clock. So please do tell your friends. The more people each week, we're getting I think over 1,000 people tuning in. So please keep on sharing it. This is something we're just giving away for free to people, just to help you through this difficult time. Remembering we have so many more skills we might ever have imagined. We have them all within us. We just need to switch them on, learn them, or relearn them in some cases. So thank you very much. How do you do? A quick question from Christine. How do you 3, 2, 1 in a dark room in the middle of the night? Good question. If you can't see anything, it's fine. You can imagine what would be there. You probably know your room well enough. Or you can imagine this beautiful waterfall and think about all the things here. If it's sounds, and there's not many sounds, interestingly there aren't, think of sounds you love to hear. And the same with feelings. You can always focus on feelings in your body. So, lovely to see you. I see a whole bunch of my students from both uni and from my training college on the call. Good to see you guys. Lisa, don't clean the kitchen. Sit down, have a glass of wine or a soft drink. Take it easy. Be kind to yourselves. Nice to see you guys. Do carry on leaving comments. It's really nice. It's quite weird doing this because I'm talking to myself. So it's really nice to have a sense that other people are out there and that you're getting value from it. So thank you very much for your contributions, and I will see you guys soon. Let me try and press the right button. That's the one.